I don't want you to think that my t-shirt is indicative that I don't take academics seriously, because that's not entirely true. I take academics very seriously. Okay, so thank you very much to the United Way. They'll be here next week too, so if you guys have some questions, if you have to scoot out earlier, that's okay. I mentioned I'm your presenter for today, so be gentle, friends. Just kidding, I can take it. All right, let's see. Okay, so hi, I'm Casey, and I'm here every week, and this is what we call a recap. So I want to tell a little bit of a story as to why I'm here, and where does it come from. So back in 2016, I stood up in front of 1 Million Cups Columbia, and I told them that we are a process documentation company. And that meeting, Tom Petras, who had just had to leave, but when Tom was here, he heard me say that, and he got me the biggest client I've ever had. You guys might have remembered he was here for the Made It session, the T-Cube team, right? So 2016, we had this huge client, everything's going great. In 2017, we have no clients. I get back up in front of 1 Million Cups, this time in Charleston. I tell them my company is failing and I'm not sure what to do. 2018, I went into service at the Women's Business Center specifically, and I helped to build some other women's businesses. I helped to understand what women are struggling with, how they're changing really the dynamics of what it means to be a work-at-home mom, to be a stay-at-home mom who also works, all these kinds of things. And I thought I finally found the path forward. So back in February, I decided to leave the Women's Business Center and go back into Clemson Rd Re-Caff full-time. And I think my Facebook page said back in the game. And you should know it's a back in the game because the quote that is our quote is, never let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about. It's rebound year, baby, in 2019. And I'm going to tell you what we're working on now. So the question I came up with for what problem are you solving, right? The answer to that is we know that there are really two kinds of consultants. There are independent consultants who are one-man shows. They're on their one side, they're doing it all by themselves, they're getting their customers, they're building out their program, they're delivering their services, they're doing all the billing, all the marketing, everything. They're totally overwhelmed by having to be a one-man show. On the other end, there are these consultants who work for gigantic consultancies like PricewaterhouseCoopers, Booz Allen Hamilton, these huge, huge companies, right? And those big companies go and bid on projects, and then they bring in a bench of consultants to deliver the services. If you're one of those consultants and they don't have a project for you, you're out of work. So a lot of times those consultants who are working for the big consultancies, they'll also have their own little independent side hustle going on. But we thought if we could get in the middle there and we could help those independent consultants be more like the big consultancies, we could make a real impact, specifically here in South Carolina. So Clemson Rd Re-Caff is a shared services company. And what we do is we provide the operational support for individual consultants, independent consultants, so that they can do what they do best. They can focus on their core competencies. So we provide marketing for them. We're right now providing methodology training for them, and I'll get a little bit deeper into that. We are planning to provide things like accounts payable, accounts receivable, legal services, all of that. So I'm going to tell you how that's going to scale. But for right now, what we wanted to do was help independent consultants, and no offense, guys, but specifically women. We wanted to help these women to build a business that they could be proud of, build something that has systems that are repeatable, something that has a longevity to it, right? So that's what we're doing at Clemson Rd. We are operational support. So what did we have to give? Well, originally it's myself and my business partner, Jody Kane-Smith, and we started looking at what are we doing and what do we know and how can we help other people do what we're doing. And the first thing that we have to give is our methodology. So our core competency really is that we run a consulting practice with a methodology that can be applied to anybody else's consulting practice. It's a branded methodology. It's got an acronym and everything. It's amazing. And so our first thing is to teach other people how to use our methodology. And this idea came to us from one of our first cohort members who said to me, Casey, you should certify people on how to deliver your methodology. And I was like, well, that doesn't really make any sense because nobody knows what it is. And she goes, well, not yet, but they will. So that's where the idea came from. What we did was we built modules into our knowledge base where consultants can come in and they can learn what does it mean really to be a consultant? What does it mean to run a methodology, and specifically our methodology? And we plan to certify consultants to be able to do that. More about that in a minute. The other thing we do very well is marketing. So we have blog posts, and we have our radio show, and we have speaking events like this one, workshops, anything you can think of from a marketing perspective, we can do that. So that's the other service that we offer to anybody that signs up for our network as well. And then the last one is project management. So we know a lot of times independent consultants can get into one big project, and they can be so overwhelmed and consumed by that they're not building any prospecting, they're not building any kind of pipeline at all, which is what happened to us, right, in 2016. So we want to help them with that project management piece so that they're balancing out the prospecting work they need to be doing and getting ready for the next thing coming down the road. Our business model has always been decentralized, asynchronous work. Jody is in Alabama. We're both moms. We work when we can, where we can, how we can. We work when we want, where we want, how we want. And that asynchronous work environment works very well for us. We're very much results oriented and results driven, meaning that we have a list of things that have to get done, and if they don't get done, you don't stop working. That's how we work. So we are in the process of selling that how we work as a methodology as well, but for right now, that's just our business model, is that we just work where we can, when we can, how we can. Our ideal client, we like to find consultants who are in that 3 to 5 year mark, where they had a couple of really good clients in the first 3 years, they were able to reach personal sustainability, but now they're having a little bit of trouble getting past their close network, right? Maybe their referrals have dried up, and so they're having a little bit of trouble getting past that first level of networking. We want to help them build a niche for themselves. So stop doing whatever people will pay you to do and start doing what you're actually good at. And let's go and find the people that are the right clients for you. So our ideal client is an independent consultant. It's usually a woman that's got a lot of other things on her plate, but we're not exclusive. We'll take anybody that meets our ideal match, right? We're looking for somebody who wants to work remotely, wants to be results driven, and wants to invest in her own business, but needs us as much as we'd like to help her. The gig economy. So we talk about this a lot in academia. You guys know that my full-time gig is over at the University of South Carolina's Darla Moore School of Business. The gig economy is a lot about doing what people will pay you to do and piecing together little bits and pieces of work to create for yourself your own 40-hour work week. We're very much about that, but we do want our clients, our affiliates, to be focused on their specific niche. So we like to be able to match them together and put them onto projects together. So ultimately, once they come into our organization and we are able to win big projects, we can work like one of those big consultancies where we can piece together some of our individuals and put them onto big projects as well. We're just not quite there yet. So I didn't just come up with this out of nowhere. After a year in the Women's Business Center, getting to know a lot of different women entrepreneurs, independent consultants, I did sit down and do some validation in 2 different ways. First, I went to a lot of the consultants I already knew, 20 or more, and talked to them about what do they need to be successful. The number one answer was prospecting. They need people to help them bring in business. Well, clearly we suck at that. So we're not going to be able to offer that service. So instead what I said to them was, okay, well, if you were given a support, operational support, so that you could do your own prospecting, how would you feel about that? And mostly they were okay with that, but probably we're going to have to bring on a prospecting vendor before too long, because really that's a primary goal or a primary pain point for a lot of our clients. The other validation that we did is I held 2 focus groups with people who are really, really smart business people, and I invited them in and I told them all about what I want to do, and I asked them what they thought. What did you think, Aunt Elliot? And I want to say that I've been in 1 Million Cups for 2 years now, and my exposure to the people in 1 Million Cups is where I was able to build this group of folks that came and sat with me and walked through what does a business model look like and what are the challenges. So the first question was, how are you going to do it? And so we start with enrolling people, we give them their customized plan, then we're going to put them into the knowledge base, let them start taking all of our modules, and then they're going to start building their own modules as well and put those into our knowledge base as well. So the Clemson Road Creative Knowledge Base just swells, it gets bigger and bigger. Eventually, as our people come in and they start buying modules that I didn't personally create, the people who did create them will get paid for those modules. So it's another revenue stream for them to put their stuff into our knowledge base. We're meeting weekly. I meet with the individual consultants in our first cohort every single week, and then monthly they meet together as one cohort. So eventually I'm going to run out of time for that, right? But these enrollment plans are right now, they're 1 annual year. So 1 year from the day that we begin, which is June 1st was the day that we began. So next year on May 31st, we'll be done with this very first cohort. We want them to create some more content for us, and then ultimately we want them to be certified. Our goal is that eventually people don't hire consultants unless those consultants are Clemson Road certified. You come out of here and you go, I've got Clemson Road certification, what do you have? And somebody else goes, what's that? That's what we want. So we want to make sure that people are feeling like this is the standard in the consulting industry. What are the advantages that we provide? Well, of course, we have a methodology. A lot of the independent consultants that I talk to either don't have one or don't even know what it is, or they're operating in a capacity of they'll help whoever they need to help, however they can help them, but they're not able to predict what that system really looks like. So our methodology is our big advantage. Of course, we have the marketing properties. Everybody knows I've got the radio show on Tuesday. I also have one on Saturday. And we've got all of our blogs and all these kinds of other marketing properties that we've got access to. We have our proven work model. We've been doing this for years. Jody and I have been working together asynchronously and remote since 2012. So we know very well how to set results and how to set expectations and how to make sure that we're meeting them and collaborating it to the very best way we can. The barriers to entry for this business are extraordinarily low because nobody else is doing this. Nobody is certifying consultants, right? So if you're hiring a consultant and they don't have any certifications, that's fine because most consultants don't. There are international certification bodies where you can pay $5,000 to get their logo on your website, basically is what it amounts to. But the people that are buying those things are huge corporations that want to walk around with that certification. There's not a, I'm an independent consultant and I can afford to be part of this kind of certification out there. The other thing is there's not any standards. Consultants can do what consultants do all over the world. And if you've ever hired one and been burned by one, I'm sorry for you. But it happens more often than you'd know. In fact, I found out that there's 2 manufacturing companies here in South Carolina that both hired the same large consultancy to do a business assessment for them. And when they sat those business assessments side by side, they were exactly the same. They had been copy and pasted, copy-paste job, and they each had paid $30,000 for them. So there's a lot of mid-sized businesses that are paying for consultants and they're not getting the value they deserve, and we want to fix that. The best way to fix that is to have a proven methodology and to go in there and deliver services that you know are full of integrity and honesty and that you can be trusted. But you can only be trusted when other people say you can be trusted, right? All right, let's see. Revenue, how do we make money? So the first way we're going to make money on this is by enrollment in the academy. We know a lot of independent consultants don't have a lot of money, so we have a graduated payment plan that has the full value of their enrollment and lets them pay it off over the course of the full year. And we set that up at an individual basis. It puts us at a little bit of a risk because there's a staggered revenue cycle, but we think it's the right thing to do specifically for our independent consultants that want to get better and just need a little bit of help to be able to get better. The second way we're going to make money is off the knowledge base. We can eventually sell these products as a la carte products. You don't have to become fully enrolled in the Clemson Road certification process to access these products. Eventually, it'll just be a learning management system that will be accessible for anybody that wants to buy one module at a time or several modules at a time. The next way is our vendor network. So I mentioned we want to grow. Of course, we can't offer everything to our clients right now. So next year in 2020, we're going to launch a vendor network, and those vendors are going to pay us for access to our clientele, or they're going to at least give some discounted rates to our clientele. We already have several vendors lined up to be able to do that because they support what it is we're trying to do. And then, of course, we'll expand our services. So at some point, it will become less effective, less cost effective to have somebody else providing that service, and we'll start providing it instead. And that's part of our growth plan as well, is to expand those services and offer more. So while somebody's involved with us for the first year and getting up and going as an academy enrollee, after that, we expect them to become a part of our alumni network and continue to pay us for the services that we offer for them from an operational support perspective. And then lastly, right now, what's funding this right now is my personal consulting piece. So what I do is software implementations, and I help people decide how to get their processes in place. And so right now, it's my personal consulting services that are financing this entire journey. Yay! And by the way, Jody is the highest paid person in our company. So, all right. The risks. So I did want to touch on this real quick, and then I'm going to race through the end of these slides because I know I'm well over my 6 minutes. But we know there's a lot of risk associated with this. Specifically out of the focus group came the possibility of people poaching our intellectual property. So we know that we have to be able to protect that. We worked with Meg Collins, who's my attorney over at Palmetto Law Group, and she has put together some pretty airtight disclosure agreements where we know that our people that come in are signing them and saying, I will use this for my business, but I will not sell it to others. So that was the way we addressed that in the first place. But we know we have a lot of work to do as far as IP is concerned. When you're selling services, and specifically in this case knowledge, you've got a lot of concerns around IP. So we're working on that, trying to protect that. And then the last piece there at the very bottom, of course I told you I teach at the Darla Moore School and my consulting services. Those two things take me away from this particular network piece, which is why it's important that we balance things out. We started our first cohort. We called them First in Maine. There's only 5 of them. And this is how we think we're going to grow. Every year, this year, we'll have 2 cohorts. In the beginning of the year, our First in Maine cohort, they're already enrolled, and then our First in Gervais. And the reason we're using these, of course, we're Clemson Road, right? So we want to use some map references. The first means it's the first year that we've done this, but the Main Street and the Gervais Street mean that the cohorts are made up of different occupational specialties. So we have a healthcare consultant, we have a cross-linking markets consultant, we have a marketing consultant. They don't really have a whole lot in common, so we call them First in Maine and First in Gervais. Eventually, we expect to get into where we have specialty consulting groups. So we expect to run 4 cohorts a year, 1 per quarter, enroll them 1 per quarter, but they'll stay with us for a full year, right? And we expect those cohorts to be around 5 people each, probably not much bigger than that. So ultimately, when we get to 2022, we will have 70 certified, CRC certified consultants wandering all of South Carolina and bragging about how cool they are. So that's the plan. I'm not going to lie. Yesterday on the radio, I told everybody, and I'll tell you all that if you weren't listening, my big, hairy, audacious goal is to have a building in downtown Columbia with the name Clemson Rd Creative on it. That's what I expect. I expect we'll get to $10 million. I expect we're going to change the consulting industry. I expect we're going to provide independent consultants the resources that they need to be competitive with these very big firms. And we're going to prevent these small and medium-sized businesses from getting taken for a ride by the big companies that are sending college kids to do professional work. Don't tell my students I said that. The last is my Rocky quote. I feel like that our brand is a little bit Rocky Balboa, and it's about getting knocked down and getting back up again. So I want to thank you all for giving me your time this morning. I'd be glad to take any questions that you have. The support that 1MC has given me and the ability to be part of this community really has been transformative for me over the last 2 years. We're no longer a failing business, and that is almost 100% because of 1 Million Cups and the support you guys have given me. So thank you very much.